Hi, I'm Gabriella from Vera Solutions, and I'm going to walk through how to create aggregated indicators in AMP Impact. The new Aggregated Indicators feature enables users to take individual level data, for example, attendance records or clinic visits, and directly create results in AMP Impact out of those records. For example, in my Youth Development and Career Readiness in South Asia project, we track the annual income for each household that is part of the project. For our internal reporting, I need to determine the average household income by household size. Here is the project that I've created. I'll create the new indicator that needs to be reported. So now I'll click on the Add New Custom Indicator button to get started. So this indicator is going to be called Average Household Income by Sex and Household Size. This is a currency indicator. And let's use rupees for this example. And here's a new field called Type of Results. And this is where I will select that I want to create an aggregated indicator rather than the default input indicator. My project is reported at an annual level and at the country level. And since I'm tracking this by both household size and sex, I'm going to select this disaggregation group of household size, and I'm going to select cross disaggregation by sex as true. I won't add any guidelines for now, and then I click Save. Once I've clicked Save, a new pop-up appears, and this one lets me set the criteria for the aggregation. So first I select the source object. So this is the individual level data that I would like to aggregate. In this case, the data that I want to aggregate sits on the contact object. Once I select that object, then I select how to aggregate. And as you can see, there are 5 different operators for this aggregate: average, count, maximum, minimum, and sum. For this indicator, I'm going to select average. Now that I've selected average, I'm going to be prompted for the field that I want to average on the contact object. So in this case, I will select household income. And then here I am asked which records I would like to average. I can choose to select all records, or I can choose to select some records. If I click some records, then I am shown these drop downs where I can select a field on the contact, operators that I can use on the field, then I can set criteria for this filter. This isn't appropriate for my indicator, so I'm going to select all records. Then I am asked whether I need to deduplicate. So in some cases, I might have individual level records that I wouldn't want to count more than once. In this case, I might want to deduplicate because maybe my data isn't completely clean and I could have multiple contact records for the same contact. So I'm going to deduplicate by full name to make sure that I don't have multiple contacts being counted for the same individual. And these next few drop-downs are to map where this information is going to go on your Add Results page. So I'm going to map what field that the reporting period is going to be based on. So I have this custom field on contact called Program Start Date. Based on the program start date, an individual level record is going to be sorted into a particular reporting period. The same for a geographic area. So on my contact record, I'm going to use the standard field of mailing country. It's worth noting here that on the geographic area, I can also use fields that are on parent records or parent objects. So for example, if I wanted to use the billing country on an account, I would select this account ID. And now I can select a field on account, such as billing country. Since I want to track this indicator according to my contact's countries and not necessarily the parent accounts, I'm going to change this back to mailing country. Then I can select the field that the sex disaggregation will be based on. In this case, it's gender. And then here I have these input fields to map the values that sit in the gender field to my sex disaggregations in AMP. So for example, I might not necessarily use male, female, and unknown values. I might use man, woman, other, and so on and so forth. In this case, I do use male, female, and other. Then I select the field that the disaggregation values will be based on. Because I'm disaggregating by household size, I actually have that field already on my contact object. So here I select household size. And then I enter the values that I want to be sorted into each disaggregation value. Because there's a range of this, I will use comma-separated values to indicate what values in the household size field should be mapped to each of these disaggregation values. Then I select whether or not I want this aggregation to be active. Because this is a new aggregation, I want to leave this aggregation active. So I'm going to leave this checkbox checked. And now I'll click Save. And now we're all set. Here's the indicator that I've just created. To edit the aggregation criteria or just check that it has been entered correctly, click the wrench icon here to open the pop-up once more and make any necessary edits. So double checking that everything is in place. Close out. In order to actually aggregate your source data and generate results for your indicator, click on this refresh icon. This will open a pop-up that displays when results were last aggregated for this indicator. Since this is a new indicator, this data is blank. Click the confirm button to run the aggregation. I'm going to refresh my project. And as you can see, the last aggregation date is now populated for this indicator. And here too, you can see the date that I last successfully aggregated this indicator. And now to see the results that have been aggregated for that indicator, I open Add Results. So now on Add Results, let's scroll down and let's find the indicator that has been created. Here it is, household income by sex and household size. And you can see that all of these values have been populated now. All these results have been created. So it looks like I don't have any unknown data for this particular indicator. And here you can see that these results are printed as output values rather than input values. And this is so that users aren't going in and editing and changing the information that you've aggregated directly from your source data. Now let's try creating one more indicator. This time, let's count the number of entrance exams that were attempted by beneficiaries in this program. So let's click the Add New Custom Indicator button again. I'm going to call this Total Entrance Exams Attempted. And data type is going to be number. I don't have a reporting currency. And again, let's change this from input to aggregated. This is reported at the annual level and at the country level. So I'm not going to select a disaggregation group this time, but I will select cross disaggregation by sex once more. Then I click Save. And here's the pop-up to set my aggregation criteria. This time, I'm selecting a different source object. This one is going to be called exam. And I'm going to select a different way to aggregate this time. Instead of average, I'm going to select count. And you'll notice that when I selected count, the field selection drop-down disappeared. That's because you can't really count the fields, we're only counting records. Now, in this project, I have different types of exams, so I am going to apply a filter this time. And I'm going to select exam type. Then I only want the value in the field exam type to equal entrance. All right, I don't need to deduplicate this time. Here we're going to select the reporting period again. I'm going to select exam date. And the geographic area based on, I'm going to select country. And here I'm going to map the sex disaggregation one. This field is again called gender. So I'm going to map the field values to the AMP sex disaggregation values. And you'll notice that the disaggregation group mapping isn't visible. That's because if you remember, I did not select a disaggregation group for this indicator, so those fields are hidden. And now I'll click Save. Right, so let's set indicator. Here we go. And let's try running it. All right, again, this is blank because I haven't run this indicator, this aggregation before. And I'll click Confirm. Let's refresh my project. Let's open Add Results to see. All right, now let's go find the indicator that was just created. All right, here we go. Total entrance exams attempted. You can see the result values are populated for this indicator, again being displayed as output values. And here you can also see that it is disaggregated by sex, but not by group as we had determined when creating this indicator. This was a quick overview to AMP Impact's new aggregated indicators feature. For more information, please check out our user guide. Thank you for watching.